What is going on, good people? We are back at it, the Freedmen Collective once again. It's been a long time coming. I don't even know. You know, let the brothers introduce themselves for the new people. Who we got over there with the got reparations shirt on up there up in
Oh
the
yeah,
right hand
man.
corner? Who that?
That's your boy Ern. Out here in Michigan, reparations advocate, Freedmen Collective founder, Freedmen Agenda League of Michigan founder. Man, just here to have a conversation with you guys like always.
That's outstanding. We got another brother up there with the nice hat. He ain't paying attention, man.
Hey,
Who you be, man?
what up? What up? It's Conspiracy Brother here. Uh, you know, we back again. Like I said before, we was behind the scenes. Every time I meet up with these brothers, it's some havoc. So, you know, here we are to tell the tale of 2024.
2024. 2024 a little crazy right now, man. My gosh. We got another brother we're gonna bring in here in a second. I don't know why his camera ain't on. He ain't coming till his camera come on. But I'm Darvell. I'm also part of the founding gang of the Freedmen Collective. We come to y'all with this political education, this discussion. It's very important, very critical to the community. We're gonna do what we got to do with this one, right? We got to talk about some stuff, right? What we talking about? What we talking about today, Ern? What is this topic today, man?
Yeah, man. Big news on the menu. You know, uh, the law and order candidate just been convicted of 34 felonies as of yesterday.
34. How do we get the 34 felonies, man? That's a lot of
Uh,
felonies, my man.
uh. I heard there's more charges on the way, but so far 34. If I guess a hush money scheme that he had going on with a OnlyFans creator and a bad lawyer, something along those lines. I'm pretty sure we'll get into it.
Bad lawyer.
Uh, it wasn't
Can't do that.
OnlyFans. It was old school.
Only
She was an
man,
old
old
school.
school,
It was
old
straight up
school.
pornography.
Shit,
It was old
classic.
school with a studio and a producer and a director.
Classic porn,
She
huh?
old school with it.
Oh man. Let me bring this other brother up in here. See if he gonna pop on stage appropriately. Let's see if he come on into the mix. I turned him on. We're gonna see if it let him come in here. He ain't got, oh, you know what? He can probably hear us. He can probably talk, but he not on stage because it don't show you if you don't have a camera on. Can you hear us,
Yeah,
Mr. Rock?
I don't got my camera on, man. I'm sorry,
Man,
bro. I'm sorry. I'll be the one that's deficient. Yeah, I mean,
Hey, that's the
yeah, I
Freedman
mean,
life right here.
I'm struggle streaming over here, bro. I'm
We
struggling
trying to
okay,
streaming.
make up for
okay,
them
okay.
deficiencies, pushing for reparations and political education.
Yeah,
Trust we
exactly,
understand
exactly.
that because y'all know my internet be
Yeah.
going out. So it is what it is.
And that is okay, bro. We over here. Listen, I'm over here doing too much. I'm probably going this computer that I'm running probably about to catch fire, bro. I'm over here doing the most. Is my video choppy, man? That's what I need to understand.
No, you coming through clear right now, for sure.
All right, good. So, all right, bet. Outstanding. So let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. We're gonna break this down. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna pop to this scene here, and y'all gonna see a transition. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna read a piece here. This is straight from the Manhattan DA's office, right? This is the District Attorney of New York County website. Can y'all see that nice and clear up there?
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Definitely.
Perfect.
All right. So this press release we're going to read is going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about because it helps us frame the rest of this discussion. So this was way back in April when this was put out, right? District Attorney Bragg announces 34 count felony indictment of former President Donald J. Trump, April 4th. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg Jr. today announced the indictment of Donald Trump, 76 years old, y'all, for
Mm.
falsifying New York business records in order to conceal damaging information and unlawful activity from American voters before and after the 2016 election. During the election, Trump and others employed a catch and kill scheme to identify, purchase, and bury negative information about him and boost his electoral prospects. Trump then went to great lengths to hide this conduct, causing dozens of false entries in business records to conceal criminal activity, including attempts to violate state and federal election laws. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to break this all the way down, y'all. So go ahead, tag in, get your friends, get your cousins, everybody. We're going to break all this down because this is crazy, because they're doing something really specific here. But to go on, Trump is charged in a New York State Supreme Court indictment with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. That's the first thing to keep in mind, right? It's falsifying business records that he's been convicted of. Okay, falsifying business records. That's the meat and potatoes of what's going on here. And the statement reads, the people of the state of New York allege that Donald J. Trump repeatedly fraudulently falsified New York business concealed crimes. He hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. Manhattan is home to the country's most market. We cannot allow New York businesses to manipulate their records to cover up criminal conduct. The trail of money and lies expose a pattern that the people allege violates one of New York's basic and fundamental business laws. As this office has done time and time again, or so they say, we today uphold our solemn responsibility to ensure that everyone stands equal before the law. According to the court documents and statements made on the record in court from August 2015 to December 2017. This was after he got elected. From before his election through him being in office, Trump orchestrated his catch and kill scheme through a series of payments that then concealed through months of false business entries. That he then concealed through months of false business entries. In one instance, American Media Incorporated paid $30,000 to a former Trump Tower doorman. A doorman got 30 grand. Just straight up, like, that's a good day for a doorman right now, I'm going to tell you. 30 grand.
That's a nice little
who claims
piece
to
of
have
change.
a story about it. It definitely is. That's a nice piece of change. In a second instance, AMI paid 150 grand to a woman who alleged she had a sexual relationship with Trump. When Trump explicitly directed a lawyer who then worked for the Trump organization as Trump's special counsel to reimburse AMI in cash, the special counsel indicated to Trump that the payment should be made via a shell company and not by cash. AMI ultimately declined to accept reimbursement after consulting their counsel. AMI, which later admitted to this conduct was unlawful in an agreement with federal prosecutors, made false entries in its business records concerning the true purpose of the $150,000 payment. Okay. And we're getting down to the juicy stuff here at the bottom here. After winning the election, Trump reimbursed the special counsel through a series of monthly checks, like a paycheck. First, from the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, created in New York to hold the Trump organization's asset during Trump's presidency, and then later from Trump's personal bank account. In total, 11 checks were issued for a phony purpose. 9 of those checks were signed by Trump. Each check was processed by the Trump organization in a legally disguised for legal services rendered pursuant to a non-existent retainer agreement. In total, 34 false entries were made in New York business records to conceal the initial $130,000 payment. Further, participants in the scheme took steps that mischaracterized for tax purposes the true nature of the reimbursements. So this is what's interesting. They're trying to lay out here in this graphic kind of how things flow, right? They're saying $130,000 hush money payment was made. That drove a 34 counts of falsifying business records, which drove the intent to conceal or commit another crime, and then that thus become falsifying business records in the first degree. I don't even really. So here's one thing. Let's talk about this. So how do we get to 34 counts? How do we get to 34 felony counts? We got the 34 felony counts because of these 3 boxes right here that's shown right here in the screen, y'all. And if you're on them or tagged, you got to come to the 2. But the 34 counts come from 11 falsified business records or falsified invoices. So we're going to start out with 11 invoices that he needed to have made up in order to have something to pay. So he made 11 invoices. Then he had 12 entries in his ledger. So they're false entries that he put in the ledger to correspond with these invoices. And then he had another 11 checks written that falsely indicated the hush money payments as retainers to a lawyer. So he had 11 plus 11, that's 22, plus another 12. That's where you get your 34. So he had to write these invoices and make these entries in these ledgers in order to actually issue the checks. And then you take each one of those steps that he had to take in order to issue each check, and you add up each step over and over and over again, just for committing one damn crime. Forgive my language. Just for committing that one crime, which is just to give this money, give this man, this amount of money to reimburse him for paying off this porn star. In order to pay him off for paying the porn star, he had to write 11 fake invoices, 11 fake checks, and 12 fake entries in his ledger in order to create 34 felony counts. They added all of those up. 11 checks, 11 entries, and 12 false ledgers. 11 checks, 11 invoices, and 12 falsified ledgers. And so that's where this all comes from. And that's how we end up 34 counts. Now, the other thing I will say is that basically what they did is they took him to court over these falsified business records, right? The falsified business records are a very black and white thing that you can prove. That's why there was so much hubbub about, is this a case that he can win or lose? Honestly, they had the paper trail, right? They were able to show proof. And so it wasn't hard for the jury to say, basically, you're telling me we have to convict him on falsifying business records. There's no doubt that he falsified the business records. But is that what this case is really about? And I'm going to turn it over to my brothers. They got him on 34 counts of falsifying business records. Is that what this was all about? What do you think, Ernest?
I think that is kind of what it was all about. I think if we know the history of like just Trump in general since he entered the presidential campaign trail, we know this. We know that there were some shady business dealings going on, and those things were verified by the New York prosecutor's office by way of Trump's right-hand man at the time, Michael Cohen, which was his, I guess, attorney at that time. And the thing about this whole Trump case is that we got to remember during the election where it was Trump versus Clinton, Hillary Clinton had some emails, right, that clearly the things that she was doing was shady enough for the FBI to be, all into what she was doing, and they brought that in front of a court, right? With Trump, I guess there were also, research being done by the FBI at that time into his dealings, and it just so happened to shed into this thing here where we see, the hush money payments by way of Cohen to the porn star. But I'll stop with that right there because there's some things I want to go into a little later as we progress. But Stead, what was your take?
I honestly didn't follow this very closely because I expected it to be a foregone conclusion. As far as I understand the situation to be, though, Michael Cohen signed a letter saying that the money was his to pay and Trump had nothing to do with it. And so essentially what it seems like from what I've heard and some of the things I've watched, even though I haven't followed it closely, I haven't just completely tuned it out. But it seems like it's essentially trying to make what they call a reasonable doubt that Trump had to have paid his lawyer for these legal services. And this money then goes on to be used to hush money this porn star. Now, what I recall, and this may not be the case, but I recall them saying that these charges were typically misdemeanors and they eventually bumped them up to be felony charges. So, like I said, being in New York with the relationship that Trump has with the state of New York and the city of New York, I expected this to happen. The Democratic Party has been very adamant about their desire to convict him of something, to have, convicted felon attached to him in some capacity. So, like I said, this really was kind of above my pay grade. I forget who it was, but somebody said it's white people problems or something. Like it was somebody on Twitter. They didn't say it about this specifically, but just this whole situation. because while I am an American citizen and I live in this country, and essentially everything that happens will trickle down to affect the black community. The intricacies of this are above my pay grade in the sense that real life conditions of being a descendant of freedmen in this country kind of preclude me from being able to give so much mental space to this situation altogether. I mean, even to look at the injustice of our criminal justice system. I mean, it's been unjust for 400 years, right? And so, what I find a lot with a lot of Trump supporters and even people who might just try to be fair and anti-authoritarian or anti-mainstream media talking points is that um, you know for descendants of freedmen, this has been a condition that we've lived under. Authoritarian, fascistic or fascist political structure, legal structure, government structure. Um, I mean, we have had laws that were specifically created to diminish our ability to move and operate as a free people in this country, up to and through slavery. So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of more like, well, we've been trying to warn y'all, and as they say, y'all don't think fat meat is greasy, so you had to find out for yourself, and here we are.
Hmm. J Rocky, you
What do
there?
you think on this, J? Yeah, J Rocky. What's your position on this, man? Because this is a fiery one. Before we unpack the next article. Uh-oh.
It might
Thought I
not be
seen
that.
that. I seen over
I
there.
did want to
He might
say
not
to
be
what
there.
Stedman said though, like I do agree. Like honestly, I don't feel too affected by this decision with Trump, although I've heard a lot of white Americans by way of these audio apps, like they actually are losing their minds and they believe that what they are seeing is a great miscarriage of justice, despite the miscarriages of justice that we have seen for the last few decades, centuries in this country. And so for me, it's a lot of irony that those people who uplifted law and order and this whole you just got to follow the law, you know what I'm saying, if you don't want the police or the feds to be in your business, and what you're seeing is their guy didn't do those things, and now they are
Mm,
backtracking and this whole time the courts, law enforcement, everything else has been rigged, and that this is all a part of the big Democratic Ponzi scheme. What I want to say is both wings use law enforcement to their benefit for years, and it's just at this point where Trump is feeling the brunt force from those who actually have more influence than him as it comes to bringing these charges for us. So you know,
yeah.
no love lost for me.
I
No issues. But go ahead, Darby. My bad.
I agree, and I'm gonna try to bring Rocky in, but I agree because the thing is that here's the thing. I guess I look at this and see, right. The basic gist is that first of all, like you said earlier, these are misdemeanors originally, and the misdemeanors were made into they were basically crafted into felonies intentionally. And what I don't understand, and again, we're not defending Trump. We're not advocating people go out and vote for Trump. We're not a pro-Trump group here. This is just us having a discussion about the injustice, or rather the real true agenda that's going on here, right? And we clearly see, even as black men who don't support Trump, well, I speak as myself, as a black man who does not advocate for Trump, it's pretty clear that this was an agenda to try to get that felony label on him in any way, shape, or form they could find it. Even if it meant that they go take a bunch of misdemeanors and look at other crimes that was covering up in order to make it into a felony. And so then you're like, well, that's a lot. You're doing a lot right now. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen to us. It happens to us all the time. They find ways to get us in every shape, way, and fashion. But it's kind of like it's just the energy is just too apparent, right? It's just too clear that there's an energy
Right.
toward and so what you got on this, Rocky?
I mean, basically, bro, it's a convoluted, like you were saying, Darvell. They took what would be normal misdemeanors, and this is why Trump can even kind of work that whole angle of, because this is what prosecutors do. I was a victim of this many years ago in a domestic violence case where the statute of limitations had ceased against my ex-wife, but the prosecutor was able to go back and trump up some no pun intended, was able to bring felony charges that were even more false, through the grace of God, I wasn't convicted of it, but ultimately, what I mean, the misdemeanor charges had, like I said, the statute of limitations had dropped, and so she came with a bigger story to say that, oh, you know what? He didn't just hit me, he choked me out. You know what I mean? Which was the strangulation charge that brought on the felony charge. They had a longer statute of limitations and they were able to bring on the charge. So now you know what I'm saying? Now you have Trump being able to say, look, I'm the victim. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like you. You were overcharged by the prosecution, right? Because that's how prosecutors that's how this justice system kind of works. You know what I mean? They'll throw everything at the wall and then say, give me a conviction. You know what I mean? We're gonna throw everything at the wall and just give me a conviction. And so, those who've gone through that, who've seen that, most, if you know anything about the American criminal system, most people, plead out. They plead out because because the prosecution brings charges so heavy, you know what I mean? And most people are just because they don't have a legal defense system. They don't have really legal defense. I'm not gonna really go on there with the public defender. You know what I mean? If I can't, get my own counsel. So, you know what I'm saying? They plead out to a lesser charge, even though they may have been able to be able to fight it if they had legal means at the, the lower count. So now Trump can say, I'm just like you guys. Look at me. If this can happen to me, he said that in his speech today. If this can happen to me, this can happen to you, bro. It's done. They gave him the presidency, bro. They gave him the president. That's how I took it when he was found guilty. That's how I took it, bro. They gave him the presidency.
I don't know.
Well, here's why I agree.
Bro. He's gonna be the next president of the United States.
This is why I agree with Jay Rocky, because when you actually look at the behavior of the majority of voters, right? I mean, you look at our show, right? We have taken a bit of hiatus, and we come back really with stories that are kind of extraordinary. But the majority of people are not anywhere as near as politically involved and educated and aware of what's going on as we are. They really are reactionary voters. So he's going to appeal to a lot of people who see some kind of connection between his personal struggles with the law and their own. And I think he'll get some headway in the black community from this. People who are sympathetic or who may look at this situation and say, I don't trust the police or the justice system. And so because I have a distrust, maybe I haven't had a personal issue with it, but because I understand it's corrupt, I am going to support you to be a thumb in the eye to this system, right? We understand, by and large, and I think even when the statement you made, I think it applies to the group. We're not Trump supporters. We don't support the Democratic Party either, and so typically our criticism of the Democratic Party, because we live in this duopoly, this political duopoly, it's tends to maybe put us in a light that we have a greater allegiance or some kind of sympathies to the conservatives or whatever, which we don't have. But we understand, that just because the Democrats are bad doesn't mean the Republicans are the better option. And so we are able to have these complex thoughts in our minds and work them out and talk about them and understand, historical context for whatever geopolitical actions the U.S. government has taken or any coalitions a la NATO. to break down how these things work out. Average voter's not doing that. You know what I'm saying? In 2020, we went to the polling places. How many people said that they thought Trump was responsible for COVID? How many people said that they had to get Trump out of office because of something that we understood at the time even was just patently false, or vice versa? They supported Trump for. Yeah, my bad.
But I was gonna say, to that point you're making, right? The news propaganda explained a lot of reasons why a lot of people were saying things that they were saying. But even to that extent, like, we had conversations in some other spaces, and there were people who were saying it's different now that Trump actually is guilty, has been found guilty of these crimes versus him being indicted. Similar to with the dossier and them trying to get him impeached. All of those things was tried and it didn't work, so that the public still seen him as innocent. In this situation, it's been a 50-50 split where some people is calling foul and the other people are saying, no, this is how the game works. And to what you said, Gerard, like, you're right. The prosecutor actually has the power to bump up a charge or bump it down. Like, I've seen situations where you could have been charged with a felony, walking to court, you got your public defender or your attorney, and you can get it bumped down to a misdemeanor, walk out of court with a ticket. And on the flip side, if it was a misdemeanor and they could actually prove a felony along with it or try to charge for a felony, they could take that stance if that's the decision of the prosecutor. And I think in New York specifically, like Darvell said, due to Trump's history, right? Yeah, for me, it seems like the what's the saying they say, the roosters of, something about
chickens
the
chickens
have come home to roost.
Yeah. So, like, think about it.
But it's not going to come in this place, bro. It's going to be the opposite. This is my take on it, bro.
Yeah.
This is just my take on it, man. This is honestly, bro. I think this is going to be one of the landmark decisions. Like, historians look back and say, what happened. Why did we go through, what happened, as far as how things flipped in a particular way. Like, I was talking to Stead yesterday, and I was even saying to Stead, man, bro, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I feel like this is going to be one of the keystone moments of us going into a civil war, because the reason, and so let me extrapolate on that just a little bit. I'm gonna be frank on it. I'm gonna be very brief on it. But if so, listen, if we had January 6th and you saw what happened at the Capitol, based on a complete falsehood that the election was stolen, right? And you saw how they reacted. And when I say they, you know who we're talking about. You saw how the majority of those of that camp reacted based on a falsehood. Now the Democrats have given that group a real cross to die on. Because this, like I said, because we're going through legal gymnastics, even explaining this to our audience. So imagine you giving them some real beef to really eat off on the fact that this criminal system is effed up. We've already known it. Being a Black American, we already know, what you can become victim to. But now you have the highest man, or the former highest man in the world, subject to that same system. You know what I'm saying? And you don't think that you think how they gonna react when Trump, if in the case Trump loses this time, with everything being said, with Biden going down in the numbers, that everything, all the polls are showing that Trump is up. You imagine on November 6th, and they say Biden is the winner. You think they gonna accept that the fact that was the case? That the shit ain't rigged? And you think they just gonna automatically be okay with that, bro? Guns are coming out. I'm telling you, bro, it's gonna be really, really on some crazy stuff.
Let's throw the predictions out there. So I'm saying, So
of course not.
So, right, for sure. But let's throw the predictions out there, right? Just like with January 6th, to me, yes, they stormed the Capitol. We covered that, but what we seen was they wasn't
Until
willing to
YouTube
take
pulled that
those.
video down.
Exactly, they pulled the video down, but the point
They
here
pulled the video
is
They
down.
did.
the amount of
Man, we was
control.
being critical. We was being
Like,
critical of it. We was talking.
yeah,
It was like, nah, you can't even bring it up.
no. So I think it's a volatile situation for sure, right? I think and I said this in other spaces, but like white Americans will have a response to this. But at the end of the day, their response will not be strong enough to topple what the federal government has put in place. And just by way of all of the law enforcement agencies, intel agencies,
I don't agree.
this
I don't
thing will
agree, bro.
never. Wait, let me say it. And this is just my prediction because we got yours, right? So like,
Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
don't think that they're in a position, and I'm saying by November, right? Even when those white people go out there to protest, if he loses or if he gets arrested, I just don't see this military uproar. Some people said, so some people on the spaces that were black folks, they were saying it could be a race war, and I'm like,
I believe that, bro.
wait, let me put it this way.
I completely believe that.
Let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Race war. This is a conservative versus liberal war. So from any means of violence, it will have to be white people taking on white people that's in power in DC, in these other New York City, and it's not going to necessarily involve black people. So I didn't see how these scenarios of like a race war or a civil war could kind of like even.
It happened already in our history, bro. It can happen again.
Yeah,
But
let me get
that's-
my take.
And the crazy thing about it is you gonna have niggas on both sides. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have black people on
You're gonna
both
have
sides,
Candace
bro.
Owens. You're gonna have Candace Owens
Yeah, you gonna have black people on both sides, bro.
leading the brigade of
Go ahead,
Ku Klux
Stan.
Clarence. You're gonna have Candace Owens leading the brigade of Ku Klux Karens.
I honestly feel that we are, as you know, I mean, this is probably in our history one of the most what do we call it, polarizing eras that we've ever been in, bro. Like, honestly, man, I've been in the military. You know what I mean? And I've said that before. You know what I mean? I don't own a firearm because I never felt like I really wanted to spend that type of money to buy a firearm because, you know, America is really one of the most safest places, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean, to live in. And I'm on the east side of Detroit, and I don't feel like I need to buy a firearm because I ain't scared of my people like that. But with this being said, dog, like, I really feel like I want to go buy a firearm, bro, because I feel like I feel like we need to strap up, bro, because like they coming, bro. They coming. That's really how I feel.
COVID made me feel like that, and nothing happened. But go ahead, Darvell. Give your take, Darvell, instead. Yeah.
All right, let me just break in here because I think that I understand Gerard's angst around this because it was covered not too long ago, like earlier today and yesterday, because of just how ridiculous this whole situation is, and if this really trips this man up in the pursuit that his followers and his supporters have to get him in office, it can go haywire from the standpoint of this. Like, remember this, nobody, not they mom, not your mom, not mom, shit, nobody's mama, they grandmama, or the current people who are out here care about this man mess around with some porn star, except potentially some of his supporters that are like of the more religious faith. Right? But apparently he thought it was so serious that he had to cover it up. So maybe there's some merit there, right? But at the same time, nobody cares enough that you need to go prosecute him for it. So they couldn't do that. So then they found some goofy stuff that he did in the process of hiding that they got him on. It's a gotcha. And I think it's the crux of the gotcha that really is going to piss people off. And so the things that have been released have been white people, are kind of not white people, just folks who support him are like basically like, you know what, we're going to keep our heads down. We're not going to go and do another J6. We're not going to go out here and do any crazy stuff. We're not going to riot. We're not going to look like what people like to cast Black Lives Matter protests as incorrectly. We're going to go ahead, keep our heads down and push harder to get these votes in and get this man in office. Because listen, they want Teflon Don to stick. It look like the Teflon slipping right now, but they want Teflon Don to come back stronger than Teflon ever been. And they riding hard to make sure that happens. And that's the thing. Because if they can't
that's the thing, Darvell.
Go ahead.
And that's what I'm saying, Darvell. Like, with everything, with everything as of today, because things could change. Maybe there'll be another October 6th, you know what I'm saying? But that didn't die with the pussy grabbing shit, you know what I'm saying? But maybe there might be some crazy thing that turns against Trump and everybody gonna say no. But I don't believe that's gonna be the case. With that being said, that they have the energy. You know what I mean? Like I told my mother, they just put the battery in those folks back to make sure that they gonna double down, bro. And listen, Biden, we are the people they trying to get, and they ain't gonna get us. We gonna sit this bitch out when it comes to that presidential election. We gonna sit this. I want to say most of us on this panel gonna be like, yeah, I don't give a damn. We ain't gonna vote for Biden no matter what. They don't lost us. The Arabs, you know what I'm saying, with the things with the Israel, right? Going on with Israel-Palestinian conflict. They done lost. Like Biden, it ain't no way Biden could win based on the freaking votes. So if all of a sudden, if it comes down to it, with all that being said, that Donald Trump don't get this shit, he got it. If he don't get this shit, bro, niggas, they gonna be like, yo, no, there's no way. There's no fucking way. And they coming out guns blazing.
Yeah, that's an
They coming
interesting
out
And
point.
see,
guns blazing.
me and Jay
Yeah.
Rocky talked about this yesterday,
So,
right? Here's
so
how I look at the January 6th situation.
okay.
Just to kind of give a little bit of my prediction. So when you look at January 6th, in my opinion, it was a group of white people, right? Conservative, pro-police, pro-military, pro-America. And so they went to with the extra footage that was released, which you saw, they went to the Capitol, didn't have no weapons, with protest signs and flags and all that stuff. And they really thought they was going to save America, right? They thought the police was going to welcome them with open arms, and the Republicans in Congress and everybody, and they was just going to save America, and he was going to be president again. And what I think happens this time around is just like with Obama's presidency. I said this to Jay Rocky yesterday. When Obama won the first time, you had people who had never voted before, black people, who had finally become invested in the American process, right? They felt like American citizens. I voted for a president. They believed they voted for a president. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote. But they voted for a president who they thought looked like them, would speak for them, would speak to their issues, our needs in this country. And when that
My
didn't happen,
president is black, my Lambo's blue,
right?
right?
And when that didn't happen, what you saw in 2016 is black people checked out, right? Because we've had the black president now, and nothing changed. Nothing changed for the better. It changed for the worse, but nothing got better for us. You never went out of your way to do policy decisions like you did for the LGBT community, like you did for the police, like you did for the banks and the corporations. None of that. And so we became jaded to that process. Same is going to happen to these people, because now they used to be pro FBI and pro CIA, right? There was pro police and pro Capitol Police. But after you have seen that weapon that you have yielded against everybody around the globe and black people in your own country turned against you, you're going to face that differently the next time around. So if things do go haywire with this election, because, Joe Biden is historically unpopular. He's historically unpopular for any president in history at this point in time facing re-election. No president who has been even more popular than him at this point, I think, has won re-election. So with all the foolishness that you've seen and the way that they have gone after him all over the country in Democratic strongholds or under Democratic district attorneys or state attorneys or whatever, is going to breed in his fan base a contempt. Right? There's already a contempt. It ain't going to breed it. It's going to birth it now. Right? It's going to come to term, because what you see is these people will have, like, I think it's in the Bible, it says the scales were lifted from their eyes, and they'll be able to see the truth. What we have seen for 400 years, right? What was it? Was it the Dred Scott decision where
but it's
Supreme Court Justice Talmadge said there are no rights that the Negro has that the white man is duty bound or legally bound to uphold or to follow? I'm paraphrasing, but that's the situation. We've always been under that. So when we do see a Candace Owens, or you do see an Officer Tatum, or when you do see a Larry Elder, or when you do see a Jesse Lee Peterson, you look at them with a bit of mysticism, bewilderment, and confusion. Because what life have you lived? What history have you read that leads you to believe that your country works this way and they care about you and they love you? And so these people now, they get a chance. Paul Mooney had a joke where he said, white people want you to deal with something forever. And when they got to deal with something to be uncomfortable for just a little bit, they want to leave. And this is what you're going to see. Right now that the shoe is on the other foot, they don't even want to deal. We talk about the justice system. They want to dog George Floyd. Hey, man, he was a drug addict. He was high. He was this. He was that. And I don't care what you say, man. You got your knee on somebody's neck for 9 minutes. That's lights out. But when the shoe is on the other foot, we don't just say, well, Trump should have been more on the up and up. He shouldn't make excuses. He should follow the law. He shouldn't be a criminal. They don't say that. When black people getting killed, when Trayvon Martin, 14, 15, 16, when Tamir Rice, 13, when John Crawford III getting shot in a Walmart holding the airsoft gun that he was planning to purchase, that they sold in Walmart. You know what I'm saying? When Breonna Taylor gets killed in her house, when Alton Sterling gets killed, I could go on and on and on. When Philando Castile legally owns a gun, is carrying it, getting his paperwork to show the police officer, gets murdered in front of his child's mother and his child. There's always an excuse. When it's your turn, when it's your guy who's breaking the law, whether they've changed the laws or not, the laws are broken. Now you want to act like, oh man, we got to burn this shit down. Pardon my French, Dad. And it ain't like that, right? Because now you're an untrustworthy ally. Because when it's my house getting torn into and my community getting beat up, and my community have drugs pumped into them and over policing and antagonism by the system, it's my fault. But when it's your guy, it's the system fault. I can't work with you. You see what I'm saying? I can't work with you because you're not a trustworthy ally. Because as soon as it starts getting good for you again, you're going to put me back in the gutter where I've been for 400 years. Can't go.
They not going to be our ally. So we not. Hey, just to your point, Stedman, one thing I want to warn everybody against, that we not here advocating that there's some affinity between Trump supporters and our lived experience as freedmen. No, I mean, what he going through is exactly something that I'm showing on the screen, and I want to talk about that right after Ernest speaks.
No, I was gonna say I hear everything y'all saying. I'm in agreement for the most part, like as far as the sentiments amongst the black community, but I still like to what you just said, Stead, even about this community just now recognizing quote unquote systemic injustice and the persecution that our legal apparatus or law enforcement apparatus could take against. I'm calling BS, like at least for the stance that people who are blatantly supporting Trump is taking, and I'm calling BS because these the same people who was the number one supporters of this quote unquote idea of law and order, and then also this was somebody else said, and I'm still in this, but they said these the same people that were supporting state rights. And so New York is within its bounds to charge an individual who broke laws within its state lines and charges that individual for said crimes. Just because he lives in Florida don't mean he's gonna get away with it. And what we have seen with Trump is he know that these powers that he dealing with has the powers to put him in that cell. He knows this because they're showing him that they're not playing. And so far he has been complying with every single court order that has came out for the most part. And now he's trying to appeal this decision to a higher court. But if the appellate court overturns it, where does this leave Trump? Where does this leave? You get what
Trump
I'm saying?
Trump ain't gonna do no time, bro.
I want, see, I want to ask that question at the Darville goal is like, do we see jail time coming out of this?
No.
It's 34 felonies. So
no, it's not. No,
Cohen did 4 years, and I don't even know if he had 34 felonies. So
no, he's
you
not.
know
But
what I'm
he was
saying?
charged on federal
Yeah.
shit. So no. He's not gonna. Trump is not gonna do any time. White people are, we've seen this, bro. White people are not gonna, they're gonna give him the stain. They ain't gonna give him the punishment. You know what I'm saying? This is a class. Like I said, it was legal gymnastics for them to even charge these misdemeanors to make it a felony, because they never charged him from the felony that, quote unquote, the misdemeanors were enacted for him to do, to do the felony. So again, no, it's a class. It's a class E in New York. So they have class A, B, C, D, and E. E
Gotcha.
has the very lowest. He's never been charged. He's never been convicted of any crime prior, and his age, and he's the president. I'm sorry, a former president. They are not going to give him any jail time, but they want him to have that stain of being a convicted felon. But they are not going to put this man. They're not going to
Yeah.
put Trump in jail at all. This is just this. That's
So
why it leads to the full fact that this is a political game.
yeah, it does. And you're right, J Rocky. I agree. So, one thing that was said that the left media, the liberal media, CNNs, and those of the seem killed have been saying is that Trump is pushing it. This came from Biden. This is coming from the Biden administration that they're chasing him down, trying to find a way to convict him of things and trying to put this label on him. Um, and they immediately said, "Oh no, it's the state. These states, this is a state charge," or and then became some federal stuff involved, and they keep wanting to slide election finance violations in there because they want to try to tie it to him doing some dirt in the election. But the reality is, he really just did some dirt in his own business, and so now all of a sudden we're making it everybody's business for what? That he did some dirt with some checks and some shit. It's really just like you said, J Rocky, to get that felony label, so Biden can run around and saying you don't want to vote for a convicted felon, now do you? Because he ain't got that much better to defend with. I actually asked myself, if you were so concerned about the look of this being a witch hunt, if you really cared that people would perceive this as a witch hunt, and you truly believe that it's not a witch hunt, Mr. President, and then all these other entities that are involved in this legal system that went after him, why did you choose to time your activities the way you did when you know you didn't need to? When you know you could have done a different approach, if you really were just about upholding law and order, trying to show that someone is not above the law, why did we choose the timing? Why did we choose the venue? Why did we do it the way we did it instead of actively working to console the public, to tell them that this is not anything more than just serendipitous timing, that this man is having to be prosecuted at the same time he's going up for re-election? It wasn't There was no effort put forward to try to control the public's perception of if this guy was being pursued like a witch hunt versus if it just so happened to be the law working in the way the law does and the timing just isn't in his favor. Whoop-de-doo. They didn't care about that because this was really an entirely concerted effort. And again, we just see it too clearly to really sit here and try to say anything other than that. But unfortunately, a lot of black, let's say, civil rights leaders or black organizations have been
I like
hopping
to
on
call them
social
protesters.
media, jumping up and down like this is a win. And
It
that's
ain't.
kind of part of the perspective. It's not a win, and it definitely ain't none of our business. To what y'all said, like in terms of this, like in terms of like it being a topic for white folk, or in the sense that he's a white person's candidate. And I think I done a live and I talked about a piece that was done by Michael, whatever his
Mhm.
face is. I apologize. And he
Period.
said, well, Trump was a white person's candidate. Whatever to that. But the real reality is that, yeah, we don't need to be concerned with him because we're not voting for him. But more importantly, when you look at our organizations that are supposed to represent our civil and social liberties for the black community, quote unquote, they are over here jumping for joy like something was achieved. This man was never any of our concern. We need to be concerned about how we're going to use our vote. But going back to what I was mentioning in regard to Biden administration being implicated in this whole, circusry. There was a lot of silence from Joe Biden in regards to Trump's legal situation in this case, as well as the actual verdict. He was pretty quiet immediately after the verdict, but then he finally broke his silence. And I just want to read this piece just quickly from the Associated Press that was dropped actually today, where they spoke on what the president said regarding Trump's situation. So on the screen, President Joe Biden on Friday condemned Donald Trump's unfounded assertions of a biased legal system. Full stop right there. We already that just discredits Biden all out the box. A biased legal system. We already just said the system was already messed up. We know this
Right.
in single-handedly, and we already also know that this was really a orchestrated operation. I mean, they coming at this man from all over the world, pretty much trying to get him, and it just so happens to be during the run-up to the election. Y'all wasn't trying to get at him like that before.
No, actually,
What's
they
up?
were, man. I mean, they impeached him twice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm
They,
talking about
they,
like
Yeah, but
before he even was
they
I'm
only
sorry. I
started
mean
really
before he
coming out.
was up for his first presidential
Right.
run, before he was really in the limelight for the
Right.
presidency.
right. I get what you're
And
saying,
even the
brother.
second time,
Yeah,
Makes
so
sense.
and
if
then
you
you gonna tell me that he ain't been cooking books before? Don't give me that. What
what
happened was this. Remember, they just hit him with some other charges in New York because he was inflating the values of his properties
Yeah.
so that they could use them. He was doing that, but that stuff had been going on for years. But all of a
everybody
sudden,
does
we
that.
care about it.
Every real estate person in New York does that, and every real estate person in every city around the world, unless they live in some kind of country where there's a death penalty for that. Everybody does that. I have a clip from Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank talking to CNN about that from January. But I just wanted to interject on a point you just made. When you look at um, I heard that they kind of gave Trump a deal, like if you don't run for president again, we won't bother you anymore. But his desire to run for a
What?
second term is why they really went after him like they have, because they were going to just leave him alone if he would just drift off into the sunset. But another thing I wanted to say was, hopefully, and I know this won't, but hopefully this opens the door for every other president we have to face some kind of convictions for the crimes they've committed. Because what we need to understand is every president in our lifetimes, our collective lifetimes, has been a war criminal, right?
hmm
And so, even going back to like the Watergate
And
scandal with Nixon,
that's not hyperbole at all. Stead. That's
right?
not hyperbole at all.
Right.
You
And
talking
even going back
facts.
to the Watergate scandal with Nixon, right? Nixon resigned. He wasn't even impeached, and after he resigned, they never even went after him for the Watergate scandal, which was stuffing ballots for his own reelection for the I believe it was the 72 presidential
Right. Ford
election.
pardon them. Ford pardon them
Right.
and shit.
Ford
Yeah,
pardoned him.
Ford pardon. Yep.
And nobody even made a big deal. He handpicked Ford to be his vice president because Agnew resigned because he had got caught up in some kind of scandal with money. And then after Nixon resigned, Ford became president, and then Ford pardoned him. And so
hmm
we've had a history of presidents and politicians doing crooked things, illegal things that up to murder, up to death, causing the deaths of people. And
Yep.
you can see on
Obama,
YouTube,
Reagan, Clinton, you
Bush
name it,
admitted
bro.
to torturing people.
Bush first, Bush second, every last one of them, bro.
Cheney admitted to torturing people. Obama admitted that our
hmm
country tortured people. And none of those people who were responsible for torture ever faced any repercussion for it, no retribution, nothing. They still
None
bring George
whatsoever.
Bush out like George Bush ain't the worst president since color TV.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
All of them, bro. You gave, and this is one of the things that I saw in the comment sections of everything when this first came down. This term called lawfare. They're saying this is how you have warfare. They're calling this what happened to Trump lawfare, and saying like, listen, the gate is open, bro. The gate is open now. You know what I'm saying? Now the first iterations of what we're going to see of that is going to be happening to Hunter Biden. We're going to see much more focus on the Hunter, because Hunter Biden is going through a federal case right now because some crazy stuff about a gun, right? And that he was a drug addict. And
Right.
he shouldn't have been you shouldn't have had a gun charge. You shouldn't have been owning a gun. You know
Being
what I
legally
mean?
able to own a gun. Yeah.
Legally be able to own a gun as a drug addict, right? Like we're going to start this. We're going to turn it. We have entered the slippery slope of the banana republic.
Yep.
You know what I
I mean,
mean?
we're a
Somebody
third world
said that.
country.
Yep.
We're a third
Yep.
world, and like I want to emphasize, like I mentioned before, as black people, we've always lived under those conditions, right? I remember when I
Right.
lived in Atlanta, and it was in the airport. They have these pictures. I don't know if they're still there because I ain't been back down there in a long time. But it was like black children playing like in shack houses, like it was muddy shack house, like they look like slave huts. And it's a black and white picture from like the 20s. And in the back of the picture, in the background of the picture, you see the gold dome of the Georgia State Capitol. We've always lived in a fascist, oppressive state. That's our, a police state, a dystopia, whatever you want to call it. We've always lived in 1984. That has been our existence in this country for 400 years. And so now what has happened is America has lost the ability to have any moral authority on the international stage. That's what this has done. Because they have been able to point our failures as products of our own action or inaction, our own inadequacy or deficiency or delinquency, right? The black man is a failure in America because of himself. But when you see the way that our country operates at the highest levels, what is going to happen now? Because you can't tell China they're authoritarian. You can't tell Brazil or Haiti or any of these countries. Oh, you put your president in prison? America, it was like a rule. Even if a politician committed a crime, unless it could be, so thoroughly presented as being, outside of the bounds of what is acceptable, they just weren't convicted because that always opens the door for abuse from opposing political parties. And now we have said, under no uncertain terms, that's fair game now. So the stuff about Trump, I mean, this like Jay Rocky was talking about with the gun charge for Hunter Biden, stuff about the taxes, stuff about Burisma, stuff about the laptop. I mean, this is going to open the floodgates. The stuff about the Clintons.
But I thought the lawfare thing was already going on. Like even Bill Clinton, a president, was literally stripped of power for lying, and his opponents and those who just didn't support him was able to take him all the way out the paint. This same situation is applying to Trump. Like 40, 60 years later, you lied, your opponent's in a position to take you out, and that's what they're doing. And you know what I'm saying? On the flip side with Biden, right? They doing the same thing with his son. They like, well, we're gonna go through your son and see if you're lying about your involvement with your son's business dealings, and we'll take you out. So like, for me, I always felt like this was the house of cards of the American political system. Like we seen what happened with Andrew Gilliam, and he was running against Ron DeSantis. Somebody leaked the fact that he was found in a hotel, and that destroyed his political campaign. With Trump, they're using this porn star. They're using the hush money tactics or whatever he did to destroy his quote unquote reputation, even though in some people's eyes it kind of boosted. So it's like, for me, it's all fair game, and this is really nothing new. Like, it's how I see it. But I do think Trump has a level of popularity that may get this thing that you guys are describing some warrant,
What I say, I think it's the difference between. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Let me break in here on this one. Let me finish this one real quick because I think it speaks to what we were talking about, right? Biden's sober denunciation of his predecessor in his defense of the U.S. legal system delivered in democracy, abortion rights, and other freedoms that have formed the foundation of. He noted that dozens of jurors who found Trump guilty of all 34 counts stemming from a hush money case were selected the same way every jury in America is chosen, and that the former president had every opportunity to defend himself. As this is this is crazy. This ain't gaslighting. This is like I'm putting you in a gas chamber. As Biden underscored Trump's right to appeal, he emphasized that the American principle that firm that the reckless is dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone this was rigged just because 250 years, and it literally is the cornerstone of America. We should never allow anyone to tear it down. Shut the hell up.
He outdoing Trump on the Law and Order tip right now.
I mean, he's the architect of every major crime.
I'm already knowing.
But yeah, I know.
So what you just read, Dart. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dart.
All right, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say to what you just read, even with Biden, right? Like, yeah, can you hear me? You hear me? I was gonna say, well, what you just said with Biden, him making these statements afterwards, saying like the American legal system isn't biased. This is the most sacred thing that we have. It's kind of a slap in the face of his black supporters that's around here, kind of hooting and hollering whatever he's saying, in the sense that they know for a fact the NAACP, the Ben Crumps, etc. They know for a fact the justice system hasn't been fair. But for him to make these statements and they won't challenge him because it's Trump, he's making the statements about, it's kind of revealing their hand and showing it to definitely step and fetch it. Like, you got to call him out for these statements, even though, you know, quote unquote Trump is being put in the fire right now.
So yeah, it is pretty crazy. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say this is no different than like a Tucker Carlson 6 years ago, saying, you know, our justice system is fair and you know what I'm saying. And this is why, like I said, black, descendants of freedmen don't have any allies, right? Because everybody is trying to push an agenda, and the agenda ain't justice, right? They want to make sure when my side is doing the BS, it's good BS. When they side is doing the BS, it's bad BS. And so this is just like I said with Trump, where the Democrats can't be allies either. Because when the BS is BSing, but y'all are in charge of it, you still want me to be quiet. But when the BS is their fault, then you want me to go out in the street and burn down buildings and hold picket signs up and, you know what I'm saying, block traffic, whatever.
Them Trump supporters better not destroy no property, or it's gonna be a Cal Rittenhouse waiting on their ass.
They said they ain't gonna do it this time, man. They said they got a whole new strategy, my man.
Right. They try to just be quiet about it this time.
They've been on Twitter beating their chest. They saying we got to stand up and fight. Trump's donations have skyrocketed up out of the roof.
Bro, 58 million, bro. 58 million in 24 hours, bro.
The young white conservative.
Oh, that's how much money they raised?
Yes, 58 million.
The site actually shut down. And then they had to reopen it up. So
hey, listen, bro. This is they had the flags, Trump or death. This is why I was saying, like, this is not a fucking win. Excuse my language. This is not a win on the quote unquote left side, because what you're ultimately doing is giving them freaking air and room and breath. You know what I'm saying? To say that the system is corrupt, you know, which they were already saying. You just gave them, you know, more, you know, ammo towards that effort. And bro, that side is way more gunned up, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Than the other side is. You know what I'm saying? So like honestly, man, like I was telling me and Stead was talking. I'm like, bro, I want to check out, bro. I really want to check out, as well as I feel like, you know, this is the time that you need to start, you know, getting you some guns, rifles, you know what I'm saying, protection vests, Kevlar helmets, you know, the whole thing, because like they already on that. They've been on that, bro, and that's what they own. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is like they've been looking for a race war since. I'm sorry, they've been looking for a race war, bro, since like what's my man with the swastika on his nest, on his forehead, that all the people back in
Charles Manson.
California. What's his name?
Charles Manson.
Yeah, Charles Manson, man. They've been pushing that shit since the '60s. You know what I mean? And now they really like. I feel like the atmosphere generally in America, and this, and I feel like it's there, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I really do feel like it's there. You know what I mean?
You see the flags. You see the flags. Darville got up.
I mean, he's got a cult of personality.
It's a mix. Like you said,
has a complete cult of personality built around himself.
Like you
so
said,
he's transcended a political figure.
True. I mean, to an extent, right? But like J. Rocky just said, this is probably one of the most polarized issues, and I know for a fact that white people split down the middle, and so there is no perfect unity for them. And without that, white people never are successful as a majority when they got half of their own people going against them. Like that's historically what we've seen. So like in this situation, I'm gonna still have to say like I guess I want us to give our predictions, or at least what we think gonna happen at sentencing, right? Because I think Gerard, you said that there won't be any jail time at all. Class E felonies,
absolutely, man.
Right. So you thinking more so? You thinking more so along the lines of what? House arrest or fine? What
no,
is this?
I think it's going to be a fine. It's going to be probably probation or fine
for 34 felonies. Okay.
It's going to be a probation or a fine because at the end of the day, again, they had first and foremost, he's going to be an appeal. So he's going to appeal this, and he may have a very, it might get overturned in appeal. I don't know, but more than likely, you know what I'm saying, he's going to, it's not more than likely, he's going to appeal it. So during that time frame, you know what I mean, do you arrest him during that? You know what I mean? This is, again, they had to use a legal gymnastic move to even make these misdemeanors felonies, right? So I feel like the judge is going to try to, because he's already been accused based on his relationship with his daughter connected to, the DNC and so on and so forth, right? That he has to be super, like, on the cuff on, he can't look like he's like really biased. And it would be a super biased move because like I saw a breakdown. They said of Class E felonies that get jail time is like 10 to 30%. 10 to 30% of Class E felonies in New York even get a fucking jail time. And most of the time, when of those that 10 to 30% that does get a jail time, is they've been multiply been convicted, like they have a history and so on and so forth. Trump doesn't meet any of that. He's never been convicted of any felony or any misdemeanor crime prior hand, so he doesn't have any prior convictions. He's, what I'm saying, as well as his age. He's like fucking like damn near 80. You know what I'm saying? He's 70 plus. You know what I'm saying? He's no flight risk. So on and so forth, right? You don't want to be the dude to put a fucking former American president into jail. You don't want to have that, like, that's not a bona fide. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A bona fides. That's not something you gonna, put on your chest like, yeah, I did that. Not in the American world. Now, niggas, we'll definitely do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, put that motherfucker. But I'm saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not something that white people are going to champion.
Let me say this then, right? So when this does get appealed, because somebody had put something funny on Twitter, and it was like 5 black appellate judges that was all black women. They was like, Trump is toast, because if he appeals that decision and it comes before 5 liberal judges that's already at Biden's barbecues, Trump not getting the decision reversed. And
so let me ask you that. Okay, that was a Twitter thing, but is that real?
It is. There was just 5 of the appellate judges. I just was looking it up right now, and it looks like it's diverse. There's about maybe 5 black folks on the actual appellate I guess the appellate, whatever the division is what they call it.
Circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, right? Like the New York
But this
still
shit is
being
going
New
to the
York.
Supreme Court. So you know what I'm saying? So if that gets knocked down, he can keep on pumping it all the way up to the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying? And so if it gets all the way up to that level, then you could say more than likely, you know what I mean, it's gonna get overturned. You know what I mean?
But
So he has that.
with
So
what you just
basically,
said,
hmm
what you just said, I'll say for my prediction, because I've been on the fence about this. Like, I don't know if a president will ever see jail time in this nation. That is supposed to be the top cop. But I would say maybe they're going to confine him to Mar-a-Lago under some sort of supervision. And then I
they're
say
not gonna do
outside,
that.
What? No, they ain't gonna do that,
I say
man.
outside of
Nah,
that,
They're not gonna do that, bro.
I say outside of that, right? I say outside of that.
nah.
I know
No, they're
for a
not gonna
fact.
do that. They're not
Let
gonna
me
do
say
that.
this. Let me say this. I
Mhm.
know for a fact Joe Biden's not pardoning him, and I know for a fact that this New York judge, by way of it being this, by way of this case being this big, he can't do something like pay us, pay the state of New York $500,000, pay the state of New York $1 million. You're free to go. That this is how.
Oh, try to pay off. I'd buy it off.
Yeah, he can't give an easy decision in this like, you know what I'm saying? He can't just
I
say
see what you're saying.
you're free to
I
go.
see
Like
what
the
you're saying.
judge is actually tied up to serve justice for 34 felonies. And you hear Trump over the weekend or over the right after the verdict, he's saying the judge bogus as hell, that the court system rigged, and that only serves to rattle a judge. You don't want to talk shit about the judge before they give you the verdict. Like, Gerard, if you was in your case and you talking all this mess about the judge X, Y, and Z, things could, you know what I'm saying? Things could easily go left if you were found guilty of quote unquote crimes. Right?
True, but I'm not
Like,
the president. Yeah, I'm not. I'm
right.
not a
Makes
former
sense anyway.
president.
They gotta
I'm
But
they
not.
gotta
yeah,
I'm
bring
not a
some heat
former.
for you.
I'm not a former president. You know what I'm saying? As
yeah,
well as you know what I'm saying. Like this is like the sentencing is going to come 4 days before the RNC
right.
convention. You know what I
That was
mean?
strategic
So
too. Yeah,
so
that was
so
strategic
so
too.
so that goes into play as well. Like you know. So if they give him any type of like we can't campaign or some bullshit, he's already been talking about how this trial is preventing him from campaigning. So like you know what I mean? Like it's so many different things in the mix to consider or what have you. You know what I mean? Who knows where it's gonna go? You know what I mean? It could go the way that you said. It could go the way that I said. We don't know. We are what they call it uncharted territory. We don't know how it's gonna fall down. But this is what I do know, based on the fact that the judge could have locked his ass up many times over that gag order, and he didn't. Why?
True.
Because he didn't want to be the judge to lock up a former president. You know what I'm saying? Period. So that kind of leaves me, kind of gives me kind of a preview of he's not going to probably do anything to make it look like he's biased or that he's trying to stop Trump from campaigning and so on and so forth, man. And he's white. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that goes into it.
But
So
that's the thing about him. He's like Venezuelan or Colombian, so I thought that was kind of hilarious, like a bit of poetic justice that Trump is trying to keep all them people with the border, and they got a Venezuelan or Colombian judge presiding over this case, and he's giving him really a hard time. Uh, but
The
let me
judge
give a bit of my
Venezuelan.
prediction if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a Venezuelan or Colombian. Yeah, His name is Juan Merchan
mhm.
or Marchand. But I think because like J. Rocky was saying, from what I've been able to see, I guess there's no precedent for this even getting jail time. Like there's no precedent for this, and so they keep trying to talk about how many felony counts it is. But I was just looking at something today about California. So they trying to this lady, she's like a senator in California, state senator, and she's trying to pass bill 1414 or 4141. It's one of those. And basically, what it would do is if somebody solicits a minor for any kind of sexual interaction, she wants them to be mandatorily given like 3 years or something. Because I think right now, if a minor is under 16 in California, the most you can get is a year and like $10,000 fine. You see what I'm saying? And so, like for us, we think, man, that's egregious. Like, what are you talking about? 1 year? But the way the court system works, when people do have money and they don't have to just accept guilty pleas because they got a public defender and somebody who's really not trying to fight for them, they can fight cases, or the law will be applied in a fair and just way relative to the crimes you committed. They just throw the book at us because we don't have nobody fighting for us. We can't, like I did a segment on my show talking about prison labor in this country and how many restaurants, fast food joints, companies are linked to prison labor in 2024. It was an AP article. And so you have the same people that were slaves is the same people that's disproportionately incarcerated who can legally be slaves in this country still. And so, you know, on top of what J. Rocky was saying with you know, with the stain that comes from putting a former president in prison, there's even conversations about what happens with the Secret Service, because the Secret Service protect him for life. So are they going to protect him in prison? You see what I'm saying? Right. So there's all kind of logistical things you'd have to worry about. The
they had to go to Fulton County. They had to go to Fulton County 6 hours before he got arraigned down there. So yeah.
Right. And so like you still have Secret Service protection for life. And because there's no precedent for a president to be incarcerated, we don't know what that chain of custody looks like between the federal government, the Bureau of Prisons, or whoever controls the Bureau of Prisons for the state of New York or whatever, and how that looks, you know. But I mean, just because you had that tweet up, because you changed it, the fact that the NAACP is this excited.
Cover that.
The fact that they're this excited about this, and they ain't saying nothing about reparations. They're not saying nothing about Joe Biden's unwillingness to do anything for the black community specifically, the people who put him in office. Shows you the problem that we have with a lot of these, as I said earlier, these crumb catcher organizations, right? Because they don't even get the full butter biscuit.
I thought they couldn't be partisan. What's up with that tweet, Darvell? Stead? I thought they couldn't be partisan. Is that don't count as partisan politics?
I'm looking at all these responses.
I swear I was just
in the comment section.
I was just at a function with the NAACP, and it's funny because it was at the Democratic County event where they did a gathering, right? And the NAACP spokesperson said, "Well, we're nonpartisan," but she was clearly at the Democratic, rally on behalf of the NAACP. But it's funny that they can actually do these things and take a partisan stance, even though the quote unquote 501c3s is not supposed to do so. I just wanted to point that out. Throw that out there.
But I mean, at least the people in the comment section are letting them have it, because your objective, irrespective, because just like with King, the Democrats weren't a pro-black party in 1964. You know what I'm saying? They definitely weren't pro-black before 1964. But Martin Luther King went and talked to LBJ. Whoever was talking to him.
Instead, go away a little bit.
Nah, stay. Your audio went out a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of sounds weird. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, but I was saying,
you see this Judge Joe Brown?
Reverend King. Yeah, well, Judge Joe Brown be going off.
Lawfare.
He ain't on TV ever. He ain't never on TV yet.
Yeah, exactly.
When you look at the way Dr. King interacted with LBJ and the Democratic Party was not a party of black people in 1964.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? That was not who they were. That was the party of the South, the segregationists, Strom Thurmond. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Ronald Byrd. They was the party of the Klan. But he did what he had to do, because what he needed to do was needed to have something that benefited black people, and that was the party in power. And so, I mean, the NAACP shouldn't be partisan, but when you are partisan in the benefit of the party in control, no problem. But when the Republicans get in charge, they might try to drop the hammer on it. And so this is essentially, I mean, look at this. Now, I'm sure nobody black made this,
Yeah,
But
I've been
oh,
a lot of
obviously
those.
did.
There's some black folks who be making some stuff now. Instead, I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you that. Yeah,
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
cornrows,
yeah,
with the
yeah. So
yeah.
cornrows
listen,
and shit.
That
and so
AI
listen to what I'm
crazy.
saying, right? Shame on you for being willing to throw your history, your heritage, your culture in with a
Mm-hmm.
group of people who will throw you in the trash as soon as it's convenient,
Mm-hmm.
Right. I
Mm-hmm.
right?
mean, going to
I
what
think.
you were saying, Stead, you know what I mean? People don't realize, okay, so we all know that, the FBI, what I'm saying, had a dossier on Martin Luther King, but we don't ever really tie when that happened. And when that happened was under John F. Kennedy's watch. His brother,
Mm,
Robert F. Kennedy, created that dossier, put the FBI on MLK the day after I gave I had the dream speech or whatever that speech's name, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Well, forgive me. Yeah, I mean that was Robert F. Kennedy, which now his son is running, who maybe is going to go ahead and take votes off the Democratic side, which gives me, like I said, Trump is going to be the president again. You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
Based on everything
And
that I,
listen, I'm gonna be at the
mm,
bar, like everybody getting whiskey. If that happens, I'll be like, listen, this whole joint about to flip. Like he gonna flip it. People gonna get flipped. The table's gonna be on the roof. We're gonna
I
be
don't
throwing
it's
know.
chairs off
happening.
of
It's
I
Broadway.
happening.
don't
It's
know.
guaranteed now,
Trump,
bro.
look, see, because this the thing. Like we keep forgetting. Let's say Trump get the office. Trump get the office. Republicans not keeping both bodies of Congress. They losing. They
No,
losing.
yeah, you're
So
right.
when
You're
that
right.
happened, Democrats back on his ass for 4 more years. Like
That's
this.
Dr.
This is
King.
this
That's
is what's
Dr.
going to
King,
happen.
cool niece. You know what I'm
That's
saying? Like, she's a trip,
Oh,
bro. My
that's
uncle,
his
my
that's
uncle,
that's her that's his
yeah,
niece with Trump.
yeah. My uncle was a Republican, and I mean, she be on there cooning, bro. She
His
cooned so
daughter be
hard.
saying that too. That he was a Republican. What was her name? Angela. Yes,
Who?
Angela King. His daughter. She said kind of the same talking points about him
Well,
being a
see, and this is the
Republican.
problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Both of the parties have, in some capacity, engaged in racist tactics. Democrats did it because the Republican Party was founded on abolitionism in Boston. But even
Right.
Lincoln said, if I could save the Republic without freeing any Negroes, I would. And if I got to save it by freeing all the Negroes, I will. Because his objective was to save the Union. He didn't have no concern for black people. And
Nope.
Andrew Johnson, his vice president who took over after he was assassinated, surely didn't care about us because he stopped all the stuff. The Freedmen's
Yeah, he
Bureau,
stopped
all the Freedmen's, everything.
all
He
that
cut
shit
all
went
that out
backwards.
and
All
gave them
that.
their land
Yeah.
back.
Right.
And
He was a
so,
Democrat.
with the Southern strategy, what Nixon did in the 60s when he won his election finally, is the policy that the Republicans have been running on ever since, looking at Goldwater and all that. And I think
White
Goldwater
angst.
really predates the Southern strategy. But
Right, 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 right.
Look at
White
this
white
Tucker.
angst.
Look at this Tucker Carlson tweet. It's
yeah,
crazy.
and this is what I'm saying,
He
bro.
said, "This
Import the
marks
third world.
the end of the fairest justice system in the world." Like this,
Right,
this is why
fairly.
I want. This is why I want whatever happened to Trump to happen. I don't care how dirty Biden played to do it. Like I need white America to see that this justice system been rigged, and that just because it's happening in a sense, not to y'all, it's happening to a man y'all
Y'all
love.
hero.
That your hero. That this is like I think this is justice. I honestly like. I
No,
get it that
justice.
I get it. It's a witch hunt, but like when we thinking about this thing beyond Trump, like this thing is exposing like clearly the blatant
See,
hypocrisy that exists in this nation.
and I agree with you, Ernest. But to me, the final note would be not Trump going to jail, be
Yeah,
Trump being getting a second fucking term, bro. To me, that will be the ultimate justice, because that's
getting a
what this
second
country
term.
did. Yes, because
I mean, I didn't
that's
do
what this
bad.
country deserves. It deserves a fucking second term of fucking Trump. That's what this country deserves. That's what the Democrats deserve, bro. They deserve that fucking humiliating loss. Like, how could you give up this fucking layup? Why? Because you aided in that layup. You know what I'm saying? You aided in that motherfucking layup. I don't have a basketball analogy. Maybe y'all got a basketball analogy for that layup. But you assisted in the alley-oop for fucking Trump, for Trump to get the dunk for the second fucking term, bro. And they deserve that shit. Because why? Because they done given our people what the fuck we want, bro. You know, and I feel like that's the only way that maybe I'm hoping, maybe it probably ain't, but I'm hoping that at that point, when you got a second term of Trump with every fucking fucked up thing that he brings and he represents, maybe at that time they gonna say, you know what, we got to give these niggas what they want, bro. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? That's my, you know, hope. That's my hope. You know what I'm saying? But you know,
I think
if he get that out, if he get that office after all of this, yeah, it is definitely a fraction for sure. But if he get that office after all of this, he definitely gonna let
he gonna be
his opponents have it.
Unhinged.
Oh yeah,
He's gonna be unchained, bro. Off the chain.
Oh yeah. So I don't know.
Well, Black Lives
and
Matter.
That's my whole thing. It has to be. Go ahead, Darville.
No, I was just gonna say these goofy fools had something to say. You know, they just like NAACP got some bullshit to say, but they got the heat coming in the comment section. That's gonna make it extra sweet when a convicted felon beats a pedophile for presidency. I don't know. They got the Donald Trump Matter shirt out on deck right now, so y'all can.
Hey man, I'm telling you, it's coming, bro.
All presidents matter. Hey, all presidents matter.
All presidents. I'm telling you, it's coming, man. Just be ready for it. You know what I mean? Just be ready for it when it happens, bro. It's coming, bro. President Trump, motherfucking Deuce.
What the hell is this?
Who's that? She said not convicted. Okay. I'm about to say she's not bad winching this. But see, this is the situation. She not. I mean, it don't appear. She said she's not convicted of 33 felonies. So it's not like she's throwing shade.
I don't know what the point is.
She got the blue wave. She got the blue wave, so she's still. I
was gonna say, Amanda Seals somewhere dancing on this. So
yeah, he just trying to find relevancy. So, but
it ain't. Hey, Trump ain't a nigga, so it ain't gonna hit as much. She love hating niggas, man. She love hating black men.
She ain't gonna kill him that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey! I didn't realize Amanda Seals blocked me.
She did. You big time now, dog. Wow.
Tweet or something, bro. What you tweet?
You got that clean block too.
hey. It's probably because you didn't believe she had autism, bro.
You didn't believe she had autism, and you ain't believe Myron Rose
self-diagnosed autism.
To her over the phone.
Oh, man,
it be them random blocks though. That's the crazy thing.
Right. Hey, people you ain't never even interacted with block you like, who is you? You were not even famous. Who are you?
So,
what our boy say? Charlemagne. He trying to be quiet though. He just trying to talk.
He blocked you too. I was about to say you got Charlemagne
he ain't talking about it because he running around trying to be quiet. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, see,
he ain't saying Biden's name.
This is the situation. These people are so invested in this cult of personality on both sides. I think the reason this doesn't generate any movement for the Democrat or Joe Biden supporters is because how I look at it, if this is what it took for you not to vote for Trump, you wasn't voting for him no way. You just needed an excuse and you ain't have one yet. And if you was voting for Trump, this wasn't going to stop you. And there's no action behind Biden to really get out and do nothing. Your gas is $4 a gallon. Your food that went up 15 to 20%.
$18 Big Mac meals.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at the way the country is going, on the ground, Janet Yellen and Jay Powell, they can say whatever they want to about how inflation is transitory and how people are better off. They can all say this. When you go to the store or when you purchase something, do you get more, less, or the same as before? And I know by and large, we're getting less. Everything is going. And so that's the real reason that people are, and they're not going to necessarily come out and vote for Trump, but they're not going to be enthusiastic to support Biden. You're going to have a lot of people that's going to sit home and vote on the couch. They're going to vote, what they say, vote for the couch. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to stay home.
We need to vote down ballot. We need to write in Freedmen.
They're not even going to do that because you got they've lived through a Trump presidency. So there's nothing you can tell people to make them afraid of it happening again, right? So you don't have a gun to nobody.
I'm not.
You already lived through it one time. And a lot of black people, Trump don't hate us. You know what I'm saying? He ain't coming for us. You can't build no fence to keep us out. And so you'll have that type of detachment from any of it for most black people. I don't think, Trump is going to get the majority of black support. I think the majority of black support is going to be at home.
For sure.
I feel like the majority of eligible black voters is going to be at home.
I will say this. I've been talking to grandma, and she's scared. She talking about what the news said. She said if Trump get back in Africa, she's going to lose her Social Security. And this is the older electorate. So like I explained it all to her, tried, guys. She told me, like, even me trying to explain it to her with the education we have, she felt like I was voting for Trump. Like that's where I was going.
Of course, man. Let me tell you this. My mama literally, was like, this is my mom. This is my mother. My mother. Who's 70 years old, my mother.
And I'm going to tell you what my grandma critique was about. Go ahead.
Right. So my mother literally was like, dry. Biden's going to increase the Social Security check, so on and so forth. She said, I'm asking you as my son, you know what I mean, for economic reasons, vote for Biden. I said, I'm like, what? I said, I can't do it, nigga. She was tight, bro. She was tight. She said, I can't believe you ain't gonna, for me, if my mother asked me to vote, I would vote for whoever she said. Like, she was tight, bro. You know what I'm saying? She was tight, so that's that generation, man.
Yeah. And the crazy thing, too, is my grandma kind of led with that same type of logic, and I told her, I said, it's hard to get to a point where older Black Americans think about their grandchildren's future outside of themselves. And she took it with a grain of salt, but I said, so what is your real criticism of Biden? And she said, well, he ain't right for what he did with this Palestine-Israel thing. And I said, what did he do? She said he gave them the weapons, and then he said he tried to denounce the war, but he supported it. And I said, so that's the only thing you got as far as a critique for Biden. And she said, that's the only thing she got, but she's still voting for him. I said, why not vote for maybe Cornel West since you don't like Trump? She said, Cornel West is a distraction so that Biden gets less votes. So the older Democrats or the older Black Americans that's been playing the Democratic game, they are still lock and step. And what we're going to see next election is, do they still have the power, or is
we
that
need
now?
To do a show.
Is that now reflected amongst us? Yeah.
We need to do a show about Cornel West and some of the alternative candidates, just to prove the point, because I think that is so important and imperative that we continue to push the point that voting, if you step outside of the two-party duopoly that we're being led to believe that's the only choice we have, you are not electing Trump. You're not casting a vote for Trump. You're not helping Trump in any way. You're leaving that up to the other folks who decide that they want to get in that party. And I think that the Black community needs to step out of that, because neither one of them are serving us. And most importantly, when we keep giving this vote away, they think that we're going to be able to get the vote from them without even answering their call. Matter of fact, we might be able to insult them a little bit and they'll still come and vote. And so I think we maybe we should talk about Cornel West one day as a honestly, if you want to call it a protest vote, fine, whatever y'all want to call it, just get people to just not.
Is he even on the ballot? No. Is he on the
I don't
ballot in
I think he
on the
Michigan?
won't. I
ballot
don't
in
think he'll
Michigan.
be on all ballots. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be on all ballots. Which is
Right
I don't
away.
legitimately think he's. I don't think he's trying to run a legitimate campaign to win. Actually,
yeah.
Yeah,
He
period.
just
You know what
he
I'm
just got
saying?
the Black Lives Matter VP. I'm like, man.
What not? What
He got
about
Black
Black
Lives
Lives
Matter's
Matter?
vice president on his
Yeah,
campaign.
that's his running mate is the former
Oh hell
Black
no!
Lives
That
Matter.
might just cause something right
Man,
there. We can't
Yo,
have them folks don't know nothing.
wait,
come on.
Nah, delete
wait.
that.
Let me say. See, it was looking good for Cornell. Reparations on the ballot. But then you look at all the
man.
other initiatives. Let's go back to what Stedman was pointing out a show ago or so. And he was saying some of these things just he throwing whatever out there that's gonna stick. And it's really like his campaign is kind of weak. But with this Melina, I
Yeah.
think her name
Super
Melina
weak.
Abdullah. I mean Melina Abdullah, something along those lines. She's his VP running mate. And you know, if you go through her Twitter, it's a lot of focus on Palestine and all of these other things, nothing really related to the quote unquote Black American plight. And that's an issue.
That's
And for
it.
Cornell West to pick her after coming from the political education background that we've seen him go under in the last 4 years, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
man. He wasn't serious when he got when he got off the Green Party's platform,
Yeah.
bro. That's what that let me know that he wasn't serious because he's not going to be able to be on most of the states.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Ballots. So that within itself told me that he wasn't really serious. You know, and Cornell's just, I was excited initially when he said he was going to be a Green Party,
Yeah.
on the ballot and everything, and he was running under there. Then he chose not to, and I'm like, is he still running a campaign? I mean, the most things I've seen of him lately was talking about the Palestine issue himself. Which
He had
which
a
is a
rally.
valid, yeah,
He
that's
had a
a that's a
rally in Harlem, and
mhm,
bro, it was full of
uh-huh,
white people. And when I say full, I just mean the only people that was there was really white people. You
uh-huh.
probably wouldn't have like 50 people there. And
Mm.
I'm being generous. You can find videos online.
Yeah,
Like he had
Right.
a rally in Harlem, New
you need
York,
more than
and
that.
it was full of white people. And it might have been 50 people tops.
Mm.
So I honestly I think he was just intended to sheepdog black people back and progressives back into the Democratic Party. I know he has said that he's not
Uh,
going to endorse Joe Biden if he doesn't,
Mhm.
if he drops out or whatever the case he would. But that's the only way I can see it because he doesn't attack Joe Biden or he doesn't attack him in the same way forcefully. Like I said,
For sure.
No,
he'll
I
call
think he does, bro. I think he does
he'll
attack
call
Joe
Trump.
Biden.
He'll
He'll
call
call
Trump a
Trump a
fascist. Yeah.
He'll call Trump a fascist, and then he'll call Joe Biden milk toast neoliberal. And it's like, bro,
Yeah.
he's not, bro.
yeah, he
He's a
does. He's going with some
fascist.
goofy stuff on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's like he just used all these extra words like the sound. And I mean, I get that when you preaching or when you giving a speech or when you giving a rally, that's gravy. Have that kind of conversation. But if you're running for president. If the argument you're making is not, I'm the best option. There's nobody else running who's as good as I am. If I don't win, we are in trouble. You're not serious.
Mm.
Trump is a fascist. Cool,
Yeah.
say that. But then also say
Oh, hey,
Biden is
y'all.
a fascist. And you see what I'm saying? I'm the only answer. That's the way you win that's the way you at least run a political campaign. I'm the answer. Me. I'm the one who can make things
Oh,
better.
I
You don't do
think
that.
I think that we've brought this 360 right. We understand that Biden's campaign is very. You can use borrow from Cornell West, very milk toast. It's very, it really doesn't have any real substance or teeth. He doesn't have really any strong position other than I'm not the other guy.
Yeah, like what is his
I'm not the
campaign
other
at this
guy.
point? Yeah.
And so, I mean, the fact is, his attempt to character assassinate the other guy, so it makes it easier for him to keep saying I'm not the other guy, is
Mhm.
actually going to vilify him, and more importantly, elevate this man as a persecuted martyr, almost in a sense that this is the guy we need to support for the sake of everyone else is coming for him. And now you're gonna have people who ain't even trying to get down with Trump gonna be like, you know what? I can clearly see what's going on here. And I don't even support Trump, but I definitely don't support what's happening because this could happen to anybody. So it's gonna backfire. But the problem becomes, like we said once upon a time, and I don't know how to put this without the algorithm getting me. Magic happens with some numbers.
Right. I mean,
Magic
and that's the
happens.
situation.
That's what they
You
said.
you have a guy who's so unlikable. I mean, like, think about this now, because this is really, it's wild that this happened. So, but during 2020, Joe Biden didn't run. He just stayed in his basement the whole time and did
Why
like
you keep
web
saying
interviews.
basement, man?
You remember? And remember how bad he was and how much we made fun of him for not being able to string sentences together and not being coherent and stumbling and fumbling over words. Watch those 2020 clips now. He looks lucid by comparison to what he's doing today. He gave a speech at West Point, and like, he's notorious for doing this now. But he started talking, and then he was like, well, I shouldn't say that. And just like, stop! Mid speech. He was saying, we gotta whatever, and he was like, I shouldn't do that.
You see when he walked away when they asked him the question about Trump, and if they said if he had involvement in it, and he just looked at the camera all slow and then walked.
He smiled.
Yeah, the creepy ass smile.
Bull cheese, man. See y'all. We can't see.
He'll look back and smile.
Man.
I'm like, he gonna mess up his campaign in some way, but I still think he
messing it up, bro.
Yeah, he gonna get the black votes. He gonna get the black votes that we've been saying like need to stop voting for him. Like, I think that's still
Damn,
right.
We gotta get back to that. All right, y'all. We gotta start landing the plane.
Yeah. No, so let me give my closing remark first, then, and then we want to do like that. So I say, I say, just like the fellas in this room been saying, this is definitely unprecedented. This is uncharted territory. What's gonna happen next? We will be covering it when it does occur, and we will be getting back with you guys on that. But I will say to the GOP, maybe they should introduce legislation that makes it so that a president can be convicted of crimes or be held personally accountable for their actions, similar to what they did with reparations, where they try to make it so that no government can fund these type of programs. I mean, if they really care about their mans, they need to pick them up. But outside of that, I will say to what I said earlier, I don't see a civil war in the cards. I do see some type of disruption from white America that's going to happen. It's going to be black people supporting that as well. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to get smacked down, and we'll be on this show talking about it. But with that being said, I hope y'all, kind of enjoyed this discussion on Trump's cases, and stay tuned for more, because I think, this summer is going to be an active one.
Yeah, I agree. And we're gonna go ahead and hit Stead, then J Rocky, and I'll go last. I ain't gotta say much.
All right, so yeah, I think kind of to reiterate what Ernest said. We have seen this movie before, and so really we just gotta abstain. We gotta try to keep our community uplifted. Maybe do some volunteer work. At the schools, at the public rec centers, at any kind of parks or any kind of programs. Maybe join a gun club, Take full advantage of your Second Amendment rights, right? Learn the skill, learn a hobby, take up some survivalist training. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand that just in case, you ready, right? All throughout the course of our freedom struggle in this country, the Second Amendment has been pivotal and integral to that. Whether, we want to look at how Dr. King preached nonviolence and had that nonviolent message. There was people with and around him and other people who were fighting for equality who were not nonviolent, right? They were supporters of, I would say they were pro-violence, but they were pro-self-defense. We're not going to be out here like sitting ducks. You're not going to smack me and I'm not turning the other cheek. And so we need to understand that we just have to be ready in case anything pop off, right? While I don't think we would be the main target in this situation, I think we always end up in the crossfire. Just like you think about the draft riots. I believe it was 18. What was the draft riots? 1870 something or 1880?
60.
Okay,
63, something like that. Yeah.
The draft riots, like the gangs of New York, kind of warps it a little bit. They make the Irish the good guys. But during the draft riots, the Irish was coming straight from Ireland. And because black people couldn't be in the military, in the U.S. military, they was taking the Irish as soon as they got off the boats in New York and Ellis Island and making them go into the serve in the Civil War. And so they was hot because they're like, why ain't these niggas gotta go? We're not even citizens. We just got here. And so they was killing black people.
Yep.
They was fighting black people because we had skills, because after slavery, we did all the work. So after they would come up to the north and they had all these skills and they would work for less, the freed slaves, the freedmen, they would work for less money. It was giving the Irish an even harder time finding work. So you can't find work. You got to go to the military for a country you just got to. And the people who are taking the jobs, or so-called taking your jobs, are also the people who don't have to be drafted or don't have to serve. So the Irish was killing black people, lynching them, burning them, tarring, feathering, beating us up, all kind of stuff, right? And so a lot of times what happens with us, and Frantz Fanon talks about it in The Wretched of the Earth, when he talks about how an oppressed group has a struggle within itself, why you see so much violence among oppressed people, because of the proximity to each other, right? Because my brother, my neighbor, my community member, my other, black people, I can commit violence against you because I'm around you all day long. And so my outlet, I'm able to freely express myself against you because the system doesn't care about you or me. I might go to jail, but it doesn't care enough about you or me to actually protect either one of us or to make, life better for either one of us. So understand that we are always going to be collateral damage in this country. When white man catch a cold, we get pneumonia, right? And like the expression, shit rolls downhill. And we at the bottom of the hill. I mean, that's the way this country has been set up. So we have to be mindful of the idea that while we may not be the main target, we always the closest thing they can touch, because they can't touch Joe Biden or Gretchen Whitmer or the mayor or nobody. They can touch us. They touch us all the time. And so we got to be vigilant to protect ourselves, right? Constitutionally protected, within the bounds of the law, safely, not trying to look for anything, not trying to antagonize, but understand that we can't count on this corrupt system to have our back all of a sudden. It's been 400 years and they've been trying to get rid of us. So they haven't all of a sudden gained any morality, right? Our whole position in this country is fluid based on who needs us at whatever given moment and who's in power, right? We don't have any allies. They're all untrustworthy. On both sides of the aisle, we have ourselves. We all we got. So we need to do whatever we can to live for the people who lived and sacrificed and worked and died for us to be here today. And to keep, pushing on our bloodline, keep pushing on our culture and our heritage, for as long as we can push it in the face of these seemingly insurmountable odds. So keep fighting, keep going, and hopefully we can do a little bit more frequently shows, at least during this political season. But I'll be out.
Hey, Rocky.
Hey, man. I'm gonna be real brief. I really feel, that we are in some real trying times at this moment. I think we're just at the beginning of it. Like I said, I feel like historians are going to look back and say this was one of the times that led to civil unrest, led to our or I won't say led to, but was part of this country unraveling. With that being said, like with everything that Ernest and what stated, protect your own. I'm definitely looking at buying a firearm very, very soon, protecting my family, because I really feel like apocalypse is coming down the pipe, man. Ultimately, because unfortunately, this country's not giving us any outs, because the original sin of this country was slavery. And the only way there's ever going to atone for that, and all the ills that came out of that is by and through reparations. And the longer that they continue to resist doing that, this country is only going to see more ills and ills and ills upon it. So with that being said, what do? You have to protect your own, protect your own, your family's interests, You know what I mean? And prepare. Wish for the best, but prepare for the worst. And that's all I have to say.
That is very fair. Fair for the worst. My thing is, in closing, I clearly see what this is. I hope everyone else does. And we need to be cognizant of what we do with our vote in this Freedmen and it's American slavery, black community in general. Can't be getting distracted by this for our consumption. Looking at the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, and other people of black notoriety or other stature in the black community. Any commentary on this as a win or as some type of thing in our favor or something we should be happy about, other than this analysis that you and I are doing here tonight, we're all doing here tonight. Anything other than this analysis to help make sure people stay on track is going to be a waste of the black consciousness, and it's going to be a misleading activity. It's going to further the same stale pattern of self-deprecating voting that we've engaged in for the 40 years. So I strongly urge everyone to very much consider voting down ballot. That means you go to the poll, you vote, but when it comes to that presidential portion of that ticket, you write in your ethnic lineage, or you vote for a third party candidate at most you vote for a third party candidate, but don't engage in this duopoly that's leading you down a road of nothingness. Let the black community's voice be heard, and most importantly, make sure that the Democratic Party, as the one that's taking the most advantage of us, like the Republicans may be threatening us at times in your opinions, not you guys, but in other people's opinions. The Republicans may be straight up threatening to take things from us or even put us back in chains, as they like to say, from the Joe Bidens of the world. But we don't have to vote for them. And we won't vote for them. And we already know that we're not doing that. So what's the question? The question is, do we vote for the Democrats? Well, guess what? The Democrats actively deceive us. The Republicans don't. And I'm not here jockeying for no Republicans. I'm not here jockeying for no Trump to win. And I'm not doing it backhandedly. The premise and the salient point is extremely clear. We have to stop giving away our vote, and we must understand this system. Like has been said earlier, right now is a bunch of, honestly, folks who don't look like us fighting amongst each other. And we're keep getting on whatever side we think is going to be the most beneficial to us. And reality is they don't give no cheese about us, and they're not going to give a cheese about us until we start withholding our vote and demanding something in return. So that's always my message. That's what I want. I don't want people doing the bull cheese at the voting booth this year. We got to make sure that this is a year that the Democrats will remember the black community is not for play anymore. That's what I close with. And to close out our show, there's a saying that we always say, and so I'm going to give it to Jay Rocky because he originated it. Jay Rocky, what's that closing about the community and our benefactors and people who support us?
I forgot, bro. You go ahead. Lay it down. Lay it down. I forgot. It's been a while. It's been a long time. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dog.
We have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, only permanent interests.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Work for our interests. Yeah, you know it,
It's
man.
been a while, bro.
Yeah, you got
it's been a while.
Hey, and with that, that is it, y'all. So we out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Reparations.
Oh, yeah.
Peace and reparations.